This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, everybody, this is Dr. Doug Smith. It is Thursday at 1 o'clock, so this is our last podcast of the week. We're here every Monday through Thursday at 1 o'clock. This is where you will hear the science, the real science of what actually happened with this opioid crisis, not the nonsense that you're going to get from the psychiatrists and the mainstream media. Let's jump right in. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. As you guys know, we've been looking at the three studies, comparing the three studies: the 1988 Chiari study out of Italy, the 2009 Daglish study out of England, and the 2014 Watson study, also out of England. And what we're looking at in these three studies is what happens when a participant in a study is given opioids. We're looking specifically for a surge in brain dopamine. Okay, that's how they label you. That's how they diagnose you as a drug addict, as an opioid addict. They believe that all addiction goes through a common pathway of causing a surge in dopamine in the reward centers of the brain. And this surge in dopamine is so fantastic, so wonderful, so pleasurable that it hijacks the neurocircuitry of the brain, takes over the brain, and you just become a zombie just out wandering around looking for your next fix. We all know that's absolute nonsense. And amazingly, we also know that this idea of there being a surge in brain dopamine in response to the opioids is also nonsense. Now, we saw how Chiari did it in 1988 by holding the mouse really still, drilling a little hole in the skull, putting in a glass tube, and gluing it in place. And that was the 1988 study with Chiari. But then when both Daglish and Watson went back in 2009 and 2014 and tried to replicate the findings, but not with mice, but with humans, and not with drilling holes and gluing in little glass tubes, but using the very sophisticated, very sensitive PET scan, positron emission tomography. And both those studies showed no surge in brain dopamine in response to the administration of an opioid to a human. Okay, but now look at the screen in front of you. Okay, look at the response from the experts. They're in blue. What that is in front of you. This is from the ASAM. See where it says ASAM, ASAM? That is the American Society of Addiction Medicine. Those are the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to addiction. They put themselves forward as the experts. Okay, and notice that this is from a course from September of 2019, and then look at the graphic underneath it. It says drugs elevated, dopamine more / longer, and you see there's four graphs there. Okay, and by the way, pay real close attention. Notice that the graphs themselves change. Okay, the first graph there, the top left hand corner, it's in the thousands, but then when you drop down to the bottom right hand corner, it hits down into the hundreds. Not supposed to do that. Okay, but see how the bottom right hand corner, okay, that's morphine. Okay, and see how supposedly they're showing a little surge in brain dopamine in response to the dopamine. But look at the very bottom there. Okay, underneath all the graphs, look for the number 1988. Now remember, okay, let me go over this a couple of times. You're looking at a publication from 2019. You're looking at a publication from 2019 by the experts, the 800-pound gorilla, the big boys. This is ASAM. Okay, these are the addiction specialists. Okay, these are the people who are leading the way in diagnosing you as an opioid addict. And this is from 2019. And notice that in 2019, they're citing the 1988 study. Wait a minute. Where's the 2009 study? Where's the 2014 study? They're not here. They're ignoring it. If you look on the page just above you, you'll see the study by Daglish, okay, from 2009, brain dopamine response in human opioid addiction. Okay, that's from 2009, and you see it says the absence of a dopamine response. So I need to know the first 5 or 6 words. The absence of a dopamine response to opioids. The absence of a dopamine response. And yet, what they're doing here in ASAM, the experts, okay, what they're doing here is they're ignoring the science from 2009. They're ignoring the science from 2014, and they're quoting the old science from 1988. Folks, that's dishonest. There's no other way to phrase it. That's dishonesty. That's not being honest. It's lying. Okay, you can't do that in science. It's misleading. They're intentionally misleading us. They're intentionally hiding things from us. In science, when you're presenting to your colleagues, you're supposed to present everything. You can't hide stuff. It's wrong. It's immoral. It's not scientific. It's not professional. Okay, but that is exactly what is happening here with this 2019 study from ASAM. Okay, you see that they're citing the 1988 study, but they're ignoring the 2009 and the 2014 study. So, folks, that's the big point. This is why I say that these people are not being honest with us. When I figured this out, actually back in 2019 when it was published, when I figured this out, I was furious. I don't like being lied to. Okay, and I don't like being lied to by what people that I consider my colleagues. So anyway, all right, folks, it's let's hold here. We've had a great week. For those of you who've been paying attention, you know I'm beginning to write the draft for the class action lawsuit, and very excited about that. If you're not getting my emails, send me your email address. We sent an email out a couple hours ago. Check your spam. If you don't have an email from me, I don't have your email address. So get it to me. Alex, thank you for everything. Please like and subscribe to us. Post this podcast on your social media and everybody else's social media. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.